Welcome to the show. This is the Average Joe Show podcast. This is where we have the most likely of duos, the brother-sister combo of a lifetime. I'm Sam.
And I'm Amy.
Ooh, we got a good one for you.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited to talk about this with you.
Yeah.
I feel like, because when I rewatched it, after I rewatched it, I watch a bunch of people that talk about movies on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so sorry, I forgot your name, but he talks about, like, movies that are, like, for kids that are actually, like, super scary, which I would love to traumatize you with those. But he talked about Secret of NIMH.
Yep.
And
that's
right
what
after,
we're talking about today.
Yeah, so right after I watched the movie, I watched his videos, and he talked about the background stuff. So I'm going to tell you some background stuff too.
Sweet. Well, we already recorded today talking about Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and we have another adventure. We have Mrs. Brisby's Big Adventure.
Mrs. Brisby's Big Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You know the guy that made the movie, right? Don Bluth?
Sure. Should we just we need to just introduce the premise of like what we're doing right now.
We're talking about childhood trauma, but not really.
Yeah, we're talking about movies that terrified us as children, and we're just rewatching stuff that we did like that were scary to us, and just movies that we also loved as kids. One of those movies last episode was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Today we're doing Secret of NIMH. But yeah, basically the movie is about a lady named Miss Brisby who's trying to save her son from a sickness, but also at the same time so they're trying to move out of this crazy farmer's land because their farm is about to get destroyed by this combine. And then there's just other stuff that gets involved. There's a rat colony. There's NIMH, the like weird organization. But yeah,
NIMH is where the rats live.
Oh, is NIMH the rat place?
Yeah.
I thought NIMH was like the
Oh no, that's the organization
that tests
got him, I think. Yeah. Oh, dude, this movie's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, but before...
we don't have any drinks today because we already had a drink.
Yeah, I mean, I still have mine from recording Pee-wee.
Yeah,
which is just a fruit roll-up.
From Splash.
Mm-hmm.
And I got nothing because I drank mine.
Yeah. So Don Bluth, he used to work at Disney before he made his own company. And he worked there like he helped him with what's it called, Robin Hood, so like that era. And he left because he was mad that everyone was just getting lazier with animating, like comparing Robin Hood to like Pinocchio with like the crazy scene with the whale attacking him. Mm-hmm. And with Robin Hood, they reused a lot of animation. I think around that time, they reused a lot of animation from old movies. Because, like, with Robin Hood, they reused a lot for Robin Hood. Like, the part where they're dancing, they just reused what they had in Snow White, but just repainted it with animals. So he was upset that it was like, yeah, you're being lazy with your work. We need to, like, we just need to be better. So him and a bunch of other animators left Disney and made their own company. And I want to say this movie was their first movie that they made.
Well, from what I heard, I thought, what's his name, pitched the idea of Secret of NIMH to Disney. Disney didn't want to do it, so then they...
That could be true, too.
Hello, Mark. It's me, your Lord and Savior, editing Amy here to bring you the news. These idiots have given you only half-truths, and I am here to correct their wrongdoings. Reportedly, filming rights for the book, Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of NIMH was offered to Disney in 1972, but Disney turned it down. My guy Don snatched that sucker up as quickly as he left Disney, real king shit right there. Now I must depart and go back in hibernation so the world doesn't end again. Farewell, Mark.
But yeah, Don Bluth, he made other movies, or like that company. They also made like Land Before Time, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
So,
what other movies has he done?
We got Secret NIMH.
The American Tail.
Yeah,
I keep on wanting to say
American Tail.
Fievel Goes West. That's the second movie.
All Dogs Go to Heaven, Land Before Time, Anastasia, Thumbelina.
He did Anastasia?
Yeah.
Dude. I want to rewatch that movie.
Rockadoodle, I saw that somewhere and I can't remember.
Oh, my Rockadoodle.
Oh, a troll in Central Park.
Dude. That movie was weird.
Oh, Pete's Dragon, that's just Disney.
Yeah, he animated in that. I forgot that's what it was.
Oh, he must have done Sword in the Stone as well. He did in Winnie the Pooh shorts.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so fun.
Okay, yeah. But I think the company just did Secret of NIMH, American Tail, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Land Before Time, Anastasia, Thumbelina, Rockadoodle.
All
whatever.
those. The classic style of like, it's like off-brand Disney style.
Yeah, you can tell like the time period of like when it was.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this movie, it's so good. It's so beautiful looking too. Should we just go through the movie, like what we did with Pee-wee?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, and then you can, cause I feel like I remember the movie more than you.
Well,
I mean,
also
considering you fell asleep.
Well, I watched most of it yesterday. Fell asleep for like 10-15 minutes of it, which is a lot of time for this movie. That's like more than 10% of the movie.
Yeah, I feel like this movie went by really fast.
Well, it's only an hour and 20 minutes long.
Oh, I didn't know that. I sat there and because I watched it, because it's free on YouTube.
With ads.
Go watch it.
Yeah.
Please, it's so good.
Yeah. Like I remember watching, and then I went back and rewatched this
The
stuff
part that you missed.
Yeah, which was like the bad guy, like where the introduction of the bad guy doing bad guy stuff.
So yeah, we start off with Mrs. Brisby. You don't get her first name. You just get Mrs. Brisby.
And whenever you talk to her, like she's always she's either introduced as Mrs. Brisby or Mrs. Jonathan Brisby, which Jonathan Brisby is her former
late husband.
Yeah, her late husband. That's the word,
Yeah.
not former husband, but late husband.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how he died later.
Later, yeah.
Which they hinted at kind of at the beginning when Nicodemus was like writing in his journal.
Yeah.
Which, that looked so pretty with him writing. And then like him writing and then it glowing like a little bit after he writes it. Looks so cool. And he's super detailed too.
Yeah. Well, like one weird detail that I couldn't tell if it was like a stylistic thing or I don't know. It just looked a little weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looked like so there's like an ink like a feather with ink that he'd like write on this book. Mm-hmm. And it just looked like he was just doing like scribbling motions. But then you'd see like the words being drawn in there. It just looked a little weird to me. But that's just a random nitpicking thing.
Yeah.
But
and you know how Nicodemus has like the glowing eyes and the great owl? Mm-hmm. How they did that with the cell like animating. Mm-hmm. It's basically they have like a camera above like a table. Mm-hmm. And people will just like place the paper down, like take a picture, take it off, put a new one, take a picture, all that stuff.
Yeah.
For the glowing, what they did, so they had the camera where they put the cells, and then under it they had a light, so then it would glow more. And that's what they did with Nicodemus and the Great Owl. Mm-hmm. And they did it with those two just to like have them like connected, like mystically connected and like how they're powerful beings. Yeah. I thought that was pretty neat.
That is pretty neat though.
Yeah.
When I watched it with my roommates.
Uh-huh.
And one of my roommates, he's like, dude, I'm not watching this. I can't. It's like, it traumatized me as a kid. I don't think I can sit and watch this. So I'm like, dude, you're going to watch it with us. You should watch it with us. And he ended up watching it with us, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
Nice.
there was only one scene where he's just like, dude, I can't do this, man. And surprisingly enough, it was like where a spider showed up, and he's like, I just...
Dude, that part was scary.
He's like, I don't like spiders. I really hate spiders.
That movie probably made him hate spiders.
Oh, like, I think he's just always hated spiders, and he's just like, yeah, no, dude, I just can't look.
No thanks.
And,
oh, dude, the music's so good in this movie, too.
oh, dude.
They go hard with the music.
Yeah, and the music is literally, like
it's so intense.
Yeah, and that's all this movie is just
Intense.
amplified stress and intense scenes.
Yeah.
Like,
That's all that it is. That's probably
yeah.
why it's traumatizing to people.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
There's
yeah.
so many scary scenes in this movie. So I'm not that surprised.
Mm-hmm. It was just like, this movie is just a stress ride. It's a stress ride.
Oh, yeah. Alright, well, I'm going to get into the movie now.
Okay.
So...
You
I'm
just
actually-
lead
I'm
on,
gonna-
and I will make my comments here and there, because yeah, there's a lot of like, I remember when we talked about watching this movie, I'm like, what even goes on? I just remember that there's a tractor's doing its thing. There's a bird, an angry cat.
dude,
and
dragon.
Yeah, dragon the cat. And then there's just that intense scene where the rats get tested on.
Oh, dude, I think that's what made me, like, hate getting shots. It was awful. I think just, like, doctors scaring me, I think it stemmed from that movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm pulling up the movie on Wikipedia. Just so then I don't miss anything.
Yeah. Well, it just starts off with Nicodemus going in there, telling the little story, talking, like, basically writing his journal entry.
He's talking about...
He's writing basically to Jonathan. Because he's like, yo, Jonathan, your wife's going to be okay.
Yeah, because...
We're going to present this jewel to her or whatever.
Yeah, because... the beginning part, I think that's right after Jonathan dies.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the book he's writing, it's like saying like, oh yeah, today, because I think it's just like a journal, so he's like, today Jonathan Brisby died while trying to give Dragon something. But you don't like really know, like if you read the thing, then you'll know, but you won't really understand it, but you'll understand it later. Because you know who Jonathan is, who Dragon is, why they're doing whatever they're doing. But yeah, so that's happening. And then it goes to Mrs. Brisby, and she's going to talk to, what's his name?
Mr. Aegis?
Mr. Aegis, that's his name. Yeah, Mr. Aegis is so good. And I don't know why I didn't know this, like, when I first watched it, because I knew that, like, the rats got injected with stuff by NIMH. But I don't know why I didn't realize that Mr. Aegis and Jonathan also got injected.
Mm-hmm.
But that whole scene where they're talking about what happened to everyone is insane, and that part just scared me a lot when I was little. But yeah, so Mrs. Brisby is going to see Mr. Aegis because one of her kids, Timothy, is sick. And he's like, oh yeah, he has pneumonia. Just give him this stuff, like make it into soup, and have him rest for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And she's like, all right, got it. But also, it's moving day, because I think like this is like their winter house, and then they move in when like they do all the farming, and then go to like a different house, and then maybe come back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Something like that. But yeah. So that happens.
So something that I just found out, I was scrolling through this while you were talking.
Yeah.
This is based off of a book called Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of NIMH.
Mrs. Frisbee?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm happy they changed it to Brisbee. I would not take her seriously if it was Brisbee. But also, Brisbee is just an anxious little woman. Okay. Also, by the way, the main character is a mouse. They're mice. It's not like people and randomly rats. Yeah. By the way.
Yeah, everybody's an animal in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly mice and rats.
Yeah. And then there's Auntie Shrew. It was so good.
She's a wild character.
I love her so much. But yeah, so then Mrs. Brisbee gets stuff from Mr. Ages and then goes home, gives Timothy the stuff. And she has 3 other kids. So she has 4 kids in total. I forget what the daughters are named, but then Martin's the son. Mm-hmm. Who's like ready to fight Auntie Shrew all the time. And it's so good.
Yeah.
Because, I love the part where so it goes to Auntie Shrew going to the house and being like, oh, where's your mom? Like, what the heck? I need to talk to her because it's moving day. And Martin's just sitting there just like, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not scared of rats. I'm not scared of the farmer. I'm not afraid of a dragon. And I'm not afraid of you. And she's like, shut up.
Yeah, he's a punk. Martin's an absolute punk.
I love it so much, though. I probably wouldn't love it as, like, being his mom.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny to watch. Because it's like, oh, yeah, you tell him. You tell him, buddy.
It's fun. Like, Auntie Shrew.
Mm-hmm.
Auntie Shrew and the kids...
fun.
They're fun to like interact. And also Jeremy. Those guys they're like more of like those guys are more like comic relief and just like fun stuff that make it likable for children.
I feel like the kids are like Auntie Shrew and the kids are like more wholesome, kind of funny stuff. Yeah. Well, Jeremy is the complete comedy relief.
Yeah.
But yeah, wait, do we meet Jeremy before she goes back to the house? Yeah.
Because she goes, sees Mr. Aegis, goes and then stumbles, like she's heading back home, sees Jeremy because she drops the herbs that
when they're getting chased by dragon,
or the medicine,
yeah.
Which that scene
was so intense.
I remember watching that. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a scene that I absolutely remember. So this part they're like on a log by like a little lake. Mm-hmm. So Jeremy's tangled up in like a bunch of like yarn or string. Mm-hmm. So because he's trying to make a love's nest.
Yeah, he's like gathering it for his love's nest. I forgot about that. But so yeah, he's all tangled up. So then Mrs. Brisbee comes and like gets him out. Mm-hmm. But then he sees like rustling in like the grass behind him, and she's like, well, he's like just being super loud. That's his whole character, is just being loud. Yeah. And she's like, quiet, you'll bring dragon over. And he's like, dragon? What's a dragon? And
she's like, dragon on D's nuts.
No! Come on! Wow. But yeah, she's like, oh, dragon's the farmer's cat, and if you're loud, then he'll come and get us.
It's Farmer Fitzgibbons.
Wow. Is that his name?
Yeah, that's such a good name. Farmer Fitzgibbons.
I love that. I did not know that. But yeah, then just the part where, like, they hear, like, something, like, running through the log, and Jeremy, like, flies up. Oh, yeah, he's a crow, by the way. But he flies up, and he, like, screams. I remember that scared me. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, oh, okay, it was just a rabbit. They were getting wound up about a rabbit, and, like, them also being like, oh, Thank goodness, it was just a rabbit. It wasn't dragon. And then
the music starts. It's just
well, then you see, like, because then it, like, looks down, like, the log, and you just see one paw step in there, and it's dragon!
Yeah.
It's so scary.
I think dragon is by far one of the scariest looking animals that I've ever, like...
Dude.
Like,
it, like, roars. I love that. Like,
yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, a mouse would totally, like, small animals would totally see, like, this big cat, like, just sounding like a monster. And I love later on in the movie when, like, it has, like, the human's perspective of dragon. And he's just, like, meowing like a regular cat.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I love it.
And you just see that, like, Mrs. Fitzgibbons is just like, dragon, you stupid cat, go catch a mouse or something. just absolutely bullying dragon, and and you find out that dragon's just a sympathetic villain of the story.
If they were to remake it, they would make him sympathetic.
Yeah. No,
they would do that to the main villain. What's his name?
Jenner.
Why does everyone have J names in this movie?
Jenner, Justin, and...
Justin, that's his name. Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Jonathan.
Who's Jonathan? Oh, I almost
Jonathan Brisby.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan Brisby.
Oh, so good. So yeah, after they meet, or after she meets, or after they get away from Dragon and, like, run away from him.
She, like, drops
her
medicine, and she's like, oh, no. And,
I love how Jeremy's like, oh, man, we did a good job back there. Good. I'm so proud of us. By the way, you dropped this. And he's, like, not caring about her crying and being like, I dropped him his medicine. I can't go back to Mr. Ages today. I'll just go back tomorrow. And she's, like, just breaking down, and it's like, oh no, and Jeremy just doesn't care.
I think Jeremy has ADHD, because like one of the symptoms of like ADHD or ADD is that like they have to finish their whole thought and then they can move on to whatever.
Yeah.
Because he's just like talking about all this stuff, and then all of a sudden he's like, wait, a cat? Wait, you said a cat. And then
I'm allergic to cats.
Like, when I hear a cat, I'm like, when I see a cat,
I love how they had him sneeze.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I think that voice actor is like in a lot of Don Bluth movies.
Yeah, because he sounds very familiar.
Yeah, because I think he's in American Tail as like the cat friend that he meets.
Oh, the one that says, cat got your tongue?
I didn't know he said that.
Oh, he says that one part, and that's about it that I remember from the movie.
I can't remember if that's in the first movie or if he's in Fievel Goes West.
He's in both.
Is he? Is that all the movies he's been in?
Yeah, so he's in All Dogs Go to Heaven, American Tail,
he's
American
itchy,
Tail 2.
I think.
Yeah, he's also Blazing Saddles.
Oh, nice.
Here,
he was in Oliver and Company?
Yeah, hold up, let me...
Is he itchy?
Let's see. Yeah, he's Itchy Itchiford.
Oh, we should talk about that movie, too.
I haven't seen that movie in years.
I remember we had the Christmas special for it, and it was just basically, it was just basically a Christmas Carol, but with the villain from that movie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He plays Tiger in both movies.
I forgot his name's Tiger in that movie.
Oliver
Tail.
and Company. He was Fagin.
Excuse me?
His name's Fagin or Fagion.
Which character is that?
Let's see.
Wait, is he like the human guy that helps all of them?
Oh yeah.
Ah, sick dude.
Yeah. He's the guy that looks like Ernest.
Wow. I love that. I kind of want to watch that movie too, because I remember you see a dog die like on camera in that movie.
There's a lot of movies that we need to just go and watch.
I know. But yeah, so yeah, Jeremy's like, oh, you dropped this while we were running away from Dragon. She's like, oh, you're my hero. And I think it's so funny because, like, when she's, like, going home, he's like, wait, but do you like me? And she's like, oh, yeah, of course I like you. Goodbye. It's so good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, dude, same.
I like you. See you later. Bye.
Of course I like you. Bye. Jeremy's so good in this movie.
He is.
But yeah, so then she goes home, feeds Tammy, and like talks to Auntie Shrew, and she's like, "No, it's moving day. Make sure everyone's out of the house.
And she
You
was
get all
like,
your stuff."
you have a terrible child. You should.
Your children are brats.
Yeah.
She like
yeah.
rolls her tongue when she does the R's.
There's brats. He's a brat.
You spoiled brat. Loudmouth. Ow! That whole part is so funny. They're both acting like little kids, and it's so good. I'm afraid of the farmer.
I'm not afraid of you. I just like how unnecessarily, like, frustrating that kid is.
It's so good. I love it.
He's just unnecessarily a jerk.
I love it because then, like, you get the personality of all the kids.
Yeah. And I like how Auntie Shrew just disregards the youngest. She's like, Auntie Shrew, Timmy's sick. She's like, don't touch me, kid.
She's like, not now. I'm trying to talk to your older sister.
And then she's like, oh, Timmy's sick. And she's like, Timmy's sick? She's like, yeah, Auntie Shrew, Timmy's sick. She has pneumonia. But he has pneumonia. And she's just shut up, kid.
I don't think they knew that he had pneumonia.
No, they didn't know until afterwards.
Yeah, because when Brisby went to Ages, he was like, oh yeah, it sounds like he has pneumonia. And she's like, oh,
like, pneumonia?
Sick. But yeah, so then she's like, oh, you dumb kids, why are you being mean to Auntie Shrew? She's trying to help us. Because your dad just died. Be nice. And then she like sings a little song to Timmy while she feeds him soup.
No, she doesn't sing.
Well, it's the same voice actress.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Okay. Because I looked at her mouth and I'm like, is she singing it? And it doesn't show her singing at all.
They didn't want to lip sync it, which I understand.
I don't think it just doesn't show any form of singing.
Yeah.
Which is a sweet little song.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about, oh, your day's gonna be good and it's so very good. And life is gonna be grand. Now sleep, now sleep. And that's not how the song goes.
Could you imagine if they put that song in there?
Yeah.
That would ruin the whole vibe of the movie.
Yeah. The one and only musical scene is just a stupid,
really terrible song.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the next day, the farmer goes and is plowing the fields, and it's the most intense thing ever. Because it's like an earthquake.
Yeah.
Because then she's running to, like, get the 3 kids, like, get them out of there. And she's like, oh, Auntie Shrew, take them. I'm gonna go do something. And she, like, goes to the tractor while it's still going and moving.
Yeah.
Well, I should also say, like, before she's, like, going to, like, take down this tractor as, like, a little mouse, Auntie Shrew's, like, running everywhere and just screaming, oh, the plows are here! The plows are here! And,
telling
like,
all the animals just run and leave.
Yeah, the music is so intense, and it cuts back and forth to her yelling, a bunch of animals warning other animals, like the rabbits, like, thumping their feet on the ground, warning all the underground animals.
Yeah.
And then cutting to, like, the tractor, and then cutting to Timmy, who's, like, asleep, and everything's just rumbling, and it's so quiet.
And it's
so intense. I hate it.
It's funny that, like, it's supposed to bring some, like this whole idea of Timmy getting the sick, like, getting the medicine.
Getting down with the sickness.
Well, like, No. Well, so he gets the medicine. Mr. A just says he has to be laid down for 3 weeks.
He has to stay in bed for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. And
he can't go outside or he's gonna die.
Yeah. But when you think about it, in probably a life or death situation, you can carry the child, find him a safe spot, and then leave. But
that would be crazy, having to deal with 3 like rowdy kids and carrying your other sick child.
Yeah, but I don't think that's
all by yourself.
But this is a life or death situation. I wouldn't be like, oh, he's got to stay in bed. Too bad. Tractor's gonna be here and it's gonna take him out.
I mean,
but doctor said.
It might be worse for mice than like for people.
I don't know, but
because he did say like, oh, you could die from it, but he just has to stay in bed and that's it. He shouldn't do
usually when a doctor says that, it's just like, oh, he needs to rest and sleep through his like sickness, basically.
Yeah.
But I just think it's sort of dumb.
Yeah.
But that's a plot device of just like, Timmy's sick, so they can't leave. Like they can't leave because Timmy's sick, but they have to take down the tractor so the tractor doesn't plow everybody over. And then
oh dude, the whole part where they're in the tractor is so scary too.
Yeah.
This whole sequence is just so intense and scary. But I remember, like, because, like, she gives the kids to Auntie Shrew, and she's like, I have to go save Timmy somehow, so then she runs off, and I think she says, I want to say Brisby says something about, like, oh, I'm gonna go take down the tractor, I gotta stop it somehow, and Shrew's like, what? You're out of your mind!
Yeah. But that builds, like, her characteristic of being courageous, and which makes a little jewel thing that she gets at the end of the movie, like, have its power and whatnot.
No, because Brisby doesn't do anything. Because she goes into the tractor, and she's
courageous enough to get onto the freaking tractor.
Yeah.
And then
she freezes up, and Auntie Shrew, like, goes to help her. I feel like that builds up Auntie Shrew being like, alright, I'm gonna help you.
Well, she's always been the helping person.
Yeah.
She's always helped Mrs. Brisby by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And I guess this is sort of like the introduction of the arc of her, of Mrs. Brisby to be like, yo, you need to be fully courageous and not scared, because she has an idea, she goes to like
do it
and then freezes up at the end.
Yeah, and then Auntie Shrew comes in and takes out the fuel line or something.
Yeah.
She like pulls it out. I think she like takes out some plugs too. And then the farmer's like, "Oh, dang it," because he sees like the tube on the ground. And then I think Auntie Shrew's the one that's like, "You need to go talk to like the Great Owl on what to do, because you can't just keep doing this. And I can't come and save your butt each time. Like, we gotta do something about this." Which the Great Owl is so cool looking and so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is so detailed, and I love his voice. It's so spooky.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
that's the scene that I probably should have rewatched, because that's when I started dozing off. And then like, I was
that's
awake.
when the spider pops up too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jeremy flies Mrs. Brisby to the Great Owl. They go to like this very scary looking forest, and there's like a hole in a tree, like the classic like where an owl sleeps in like a tree. There's a big
burrow.
hole. Yeah.
Right.
So like they go to the entrance, and they're like, "Oh, it looks like no one's in there. Let's just go." Because like Mrs. Brisby's like scared to go in, because she's like, "Owls eat mice." Like, I can't go in there and talk to him. He's gonna eat me.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy's trying to be like, they only eat him at night, so you can go talk to him. Because then he's the one that's just like, "Hello? Is anyone home?"
I forgot that Jeremy was there.
Well, he flies her over because she's like, "Oh, I'm scared of heights. I don't like flying." And he's like, "No, it's okay. I could take you."
the most clumsy person, like where the man's characteristic is mainly he replaces the word he replaces his characteristic with athletic when it's actually just being clumsy.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like whenever he's like doing clumsy stuff, like when he's all tied up at the beginning, he's like, "Oh no, I'm just working out," and
Yeah.
you just threw me off my my groove or whatever. And,
You threw off my groove.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you threw off the Emperor's groove. Sorry. Wow.
Whatever you do, don't throw off his groove.
Don't throw off his groove. Don't throw off the groove. That's a good movie too.
Yes.
But yeah, so then she goes in to like the little burrow, which so scared because she's walking through. There's a bunch of cobwebs everywhere, and she's like looking around, being like, "Where the heck is this owl? Where is it?" And then a spider comes up behind her and is about to eat her, and then the owl just smashes it with his foot, which is the nastiest sounding thing ever because it's like a crunch.
Right.
And his head's like upside down, so he like twists it right side up with like all the cobwebs going around his head too.
Right.
It's so cool looking.
Yeah.
He just looks so good in this movie. It's insane. There's so many things in this movie that look so good. They went all out. But yeah, so then the owl was like, go talk to the rats, they'll help you. Like, go talk to Nicodemus, and they'll help you move your house. And she's like, the rats, they'll eat me. And he's like, no, they won't, you liar. And then he's like, oh, it's nighttime, I gotta go. And then he like hobbles out. And it's so cool seeing him like opening his wings because there's like all the cobwebs still on him.
Mm-hmm.
And like he like flaps him to like get him off, and then he flies away. It's so cool looking. Like, it looks so good. But yeah, and then he tells him like, oh yeah, tell them to move your house to the tree and the stone or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jeremy's like, well, what are you saying? And she's like, I gotta go talk to the rats. And then they go to the rats.
Well, they go to the rats. You see them like,
dude, freaking Brutus is so scary.
Dude, oh yeah, Brutus is sick. I remember being freaked out about Brutus.
Oh yeah, cause like she like goes to like the rose bush that's in front of like the farmer's house. Because that's where the rats live.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going in there and she's like, I don't know where the heck I'm going. And I love the look of all of it.
Well, like, the thing is like, they go, like, it shows a scene with, like, this extension cord being taken away, and you see that the rats are taking it into this bush. So you see that like these rats are living off electricity.
Yeah, they're living off of the farmer's electricity.
Yeah.
Because like later in the story, they're like, I think it's what's his name? Justin is like, oh hey, we shouldn't like we can go and live off of our own stuff. Like we shouldn't be taking the farmer's like electricity because they're gonna figure it out. And what's his name? The bad guy.
Jenner.
Jenner's
Think
like,
of Caitlyn Jenner.
she's the villain. Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, oh no, it's fine. We should just stay here. Like we have electricity. We're fine. No one's gonna get us. But yeah, freaking Brutus is so scary. He's like a black silhouette of a rat with like this like.
It's like,
what would you call the weapon that he uses? It's like an axe.
It's like a spear, but with it's like the Lionel staff thing, the Lionel spear from
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, from Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
It just has like this weird looking like.
It's like an axe and spear mixed together.
Yeah, But
I think
like
a halberd, maybe? Is that what it is?
that might be what it's called, a
Let me
halberd.
see.
But Brutus, he's just like what Martin will probably turn into when he gets older. He's just
No!
unnecessarily aggressive towards anybody that crosses his path.
Okay, something though, like at the end when they're taking the house, like
Uh-huh.
on like the pulleys,
Hmm.
you can hear, I think it's either Justin or Mr. Ages that's like, Brutus, go do this. It's like, oh, sick, he's helping him.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh yeah, so it's like a halberd. Because
Yeah.
halberd is like, so it's
Yeah.
a spear, but it also has like an axe on it too.
Yeah. Just a long.
It's pretty fancy looking though, like the one that Brutus has.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene was so scary.
Well, it's like cool because like you sort of get the idea of like the rats are dependent upon this electricity, and you see like this arc of sparks coming out of the.
Whenever
the
he
axe.
hits something and like
Yeah.
sparks,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
And yeah, like something that I've thought about after watching this movie was just like they need to remake it, and when they do remake it, they just need to extend some scenes because this movie feels so unfinished.
Yeah, I feel like they like just quickly ended it. Like
Yeah.
if they were to remake this, they have to keep it 2D. They have to keep the same like super nice animation. Like don't change anything other than like just making it longer and like making it end a little better. Because they made a sequel to the movie,
Oh, did they?
but it's not good.
Oh.
It's just you following Timmy and being dumb.
Oh, like the least interesting character.
Yeah.
Not the adventures of Justin or the adventures of Jeremy and his Mrs.
Yeah,
Wright.
'cause I'll get the end of it. We can talk about the end because like they like tied up stuff and that doesn't really make sense and it's a little annoying. So super fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then after Brutus like attacks her, she like runs out of there. But then she runs into Mr. Ages
Oh,
and
yeah.
how he's connected with the rats because all the rats there so they're all part of like a science experiment. They didn't really say what it was, but it, like made them all super smart.
Well, yeah,
And
like
they did it on rats, mice, and like different animals.
yeah.
But Mr. Ages and Jonathan Brisby were the only mice that made it out. Cause get this, so they were going through like the air ducts, and all the other mice didn't make it because they all got blown away by the air.
Mm-hmm.
Which was so scary because you just see, like, at that part where they're explaining it, they just show, like, mice, like, being blown into, like, an abyss, and it's so scary because they're, like, screaming, like, oh, please, I don't want to die. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, it's like super intense. It's just like
That
NIMH is just a place where people are getting tested on, and you see like they injected them with medicines.
Yeah,
and
because
you
they
see
show, like,
them,
a
and
guy
it's like,
grabbing a rat and, like, him injecting his stomach.
Yeah,
and then the rat's, like, grabbing its stomach and, like, writhing in pain.
yeah, it's just like
It's so intense.
oh yeah, and then flashing lights everywhere. I think
Yeah.
the music and the flashing of like all this stuff
It's
is
just
so intense.
It's so intense.
Like
It's insane.
we're gonna say this a lot, and I think this movie is super representative of just pure intensity and
Oh, yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
Like this movie's
They don't
embodies
hold
both
back.
of that. Yeah.
I think that's the one thing. If they remake it today, I don't feel like they're gonna make it as intense.
Oh yeah. Like and something if it was less intense, you know what this movie basically is? Happy Feet.
Alien abduction.
Yeah, the people come in, they take the animals, run tests on them, or kidnap them and keep them, and then they escape, and they go back to their colony, and
Or they get thrown into like a little sanctuary.
yeah, and then like the humans have been trying to like get rid of the population, or they have been like overfishing and whatever.
Man, I hope it doesn't turn out like that. Like, it makes me sit here like, oh no, please, no one touch it. Don't do it, you're gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Ages is like, oh, Brutus, oh, that guy, he's
He's
just
a chump.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that guy's just a dork. So then he like helps her go into like the rose bush.
Yeah.
And then they meet.
Do they meet Justin first?
Yeah, they meet Justin first, because, like, so they go past, then they go down, like, the little elevator thing.
Which is just like a lantern.
Yeah, it's so... I don't know why. I love all of, like, the really, like, tiny things. Like to us, it'll be small things, but it's, like, big for, like, mice or, like, other animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how they're just using a lantern as, like, an elevator. And, like, all the lights look like crystals. Like, because they get, like, Christmas lights and put them up, like, underground.
Oh, right.
I think that's what they were grabbing. Or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they're, like, walking and, like, I think they're going to, like, the spot where, like, all the J names are confusing me. I hate it.
Justin, Jeremy, Jenner.
Jenner. They're, like, going to that room where, like, all of, like, the council people are, so they're, like, gonna talk to him, because she's like, oh, I was told to, like, come here and talk to Nicodemus. And Mr. Aegis is like, oh, well, they're in, like, a little court thing right now, so we just need to just go there, see if he's there, and then just attend it, and then just go talk to Nicodemus.
Yeah.
And then while they're walking...
Well, while they're in there, they're just talking about how the court is trying to figure out, like, oh, we need to move and find our own civilization so we don't get hunted by NIMH or by the humans.
Another thing too is, like, so the part where the rats are stealing, like, the extension cord, the two, like, the husband and wife, like, the farmers are talking.
The Fitzgibbons.
Yeah. So they're talking, and the wife is like, oh, honey, I got a call from these people. They're wanting to talk to you. They're asking about if we've noticed anything about the rats. And they're talking about all that stuff, so they're, like, trying to find these rats that got out of their, like, there's a facility.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I thought that was interesting. Just,
well,
like,
something that, like according to Wikipedia, when they did the test, it said NIMH ran these tests on these rats, and these rats grew intelligent, and
but they still played dumb, right?
No, like on here it says, and here it says, the experiments boosted their intelligence, enabling them to escape, as well as extending their lifespans and slowing their aging processes.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
However, they are unable to live as typical rats would and need human technology to survive, which they have accomplished only by stealing. Mm-hmm. So, Justin and, like, the good guys will say...
Yeah, Nicodemus is, like, wanting them to, like,
they're wanting
get their
to move
own
out.
stuff.
Yeah, move to a different area, make their own civilization, while Jenner is like, no, we have all this, we've created our civilization, so why move? And then everybody's
I love Jenner's design. Like, it's just such, like, it's such a, like, villain design, but it's such a classic one, like Scar.
Yeah, has the long chin. Yeah, the long,
like, the very
chin.
Like, and like an exaggerated, like, personality too. Not exaggerated, but just like a fun personality, like Scar.
Yeah, an exaggerated personality. Yeah.
I love all the clothing that they wear too.
Yeah, it's
like,
all
it's
super
so fancy.
old-fashioned. So, like,
yeah. But yeah, so that happens. Well, I guess before that, like, when they're walking up, Justin, like, attacks them, but he's just like, he just pulled one of the pranks of just like, I'm gonna cover your eyes, guess who it is, haha, pranked.
Yeah. I forgot about that, where he's dressed up as one of, like, the knights. Or in one of the knight suits.
And him and Mrs. Brisby should have gotten together, but also totally understandable that...
With her just losing her husband, like, days before.
Yeah. But yeah, and I love, like, how they're all helping her because of Jonathan, but then they also explain why, because when they were escaping, there was a part where, like, it was super small holes that none of the rats could fit into, but Jonathan could fit into it, so he, like, got out and, like, helped everyone else out, like, unhooked, like, the mesh part and, like, got everyone out, and that's why everyone loves him and is so willing to, like, help her, and, like at a drop of a hat being like, oh, Jonathan Brisby, whoa! I know him!
We love Jonathan Brisby!
Dude.
He is my hero! I'd
yeah.
do anything for Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
Which Jonathan is the hero. He let everybody escape.
Yep. But yeah, so then after that whole fun stuff of, like, the court and Jen are totally being like, oh man, let's help her, but then we'll kill Nicodemus while we help her. It's perfect.
We'll commit murder.
You want to know what would be the perfect villain thing to do? Murder. But so yeah, they're like Jenner acts like, ah yes, us rat people will help you, Mrs. Brisby. Mrs. Jonathan Brisby.
Yeah, it's so funny that they always refer to her as Mrs. Jonathan Brisby.
Yeah, I think that's all the rats.
We'll never figure out what her first name is.
Unless we read the book. Unless she's also called only Mrs. Brisby and Mrs. Jonathan Brisby.
No, it's Mrs. Frisbee.
Oh, sorry.
Like you're throwing it.
Yeah. But yeah, so then after that, she finally goes to Nicodemus.
Mm-hmm.
And they chat for a little bit. I think that's when he talks about, like all the experiment stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, why Jonathan's a hero and why they
Yeah,
are all like,
she's reading...
Brisby.
Because she reads the journal entry.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, I didn't know he died from the cat. And he's like, yeah, we were trying to drug the cat so we can get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Or something. They were doing something where they needed to drug the cat. So, like, he would sleep.
Well, yeah, they needed to drug the cat so they could steal stuff so they could get out and do whatever. And then they all got caught.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what happened? Basically, what happened to Mrs. Brisby?
Yeah, because then that's when he gives her the necklace, and I forget why he gives it to her.
Because it was just something that.
Oh, Jonathan.
I think Jonathan found it, made it, or it's something
him
that
and Nicodemus made.
I think they made it. I think Nicodemus was like, "Hey," I think he was gonna give it to Jonathan, and then
Jonathan died.
Yeah, then Jonathan died, and I think he was like, "I think this would be a great gift for Mrs. Brisby."
Yeah.
Because if she's anything like her husband, she's courageous.
Yeah.
And then she isn't, but then she is.
Yeah. Because then after they explain, like, the whole, like, oh, we're drugging the cat thing, she's like, oh, I'll do it for you guys. I'll help you out.
Because they need the cat drugged so they can move the house.
I think, they need mice because they're small, like, because they were small enough. Because at the beginning of the movie, Mr. Ages was like, okay. But then when they go to the rose bush, he has, like, a broken leg. And he broke his leg because he was going to go drug the cat, but then got injured. So then they're like, yeah, we're going to have to wait to, like, do anything because Mr. Ages got injured and we don't have any other mice. So then she was like, oh, I'll do it for you guys. So then her and Justin go to, like, the house. And he's like, all right, here's a thing that has the poison in it or, like, the drug in it. Just go throw it in the food bowl and then just come back here and you'll be fine. And she's like, okay, sounds good. So then she, like, gives her, like, she gives him her, like, little, like, jacket, cape thing, and the necklace.
So she doesn't have the power of courage help her.
Wow. No, just so then she can look like a normal mouse.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so then they're like the hole where they are to like getting to the house is like under a...
Like a gate. Like some sort
Is
of
it a
fencing.
gate?
It's some sort of fence.
It's like under like a little like dresser thing in the kitchen.
Oh, okay,
or
that's
something.
what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about the hole that they needed to get into because the hole was too big for the... I'm just reading in here. I'm reading the Wikipedia as we're going, just to pick up some loose ends.
Oh, okay.
Not loose ends. Just pick up stuff that we are missing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I thought you were talking about how they got in, but because only Justin and Brisby went because they can fit through the hole.
Yeah.
Because I guess Justin isn't a rat.
He is a rat. I think he's just a skinny rat, I guess.
Yeah. Or he was just going there for protection.
Yeah, he was going there just as moral support.
Yeah.
Because then he
couldn't go in there.
He couldn't go into the house because I think the hole into the house is too small.
Right.
So like he was just like, alright, I'll be right here, don't worry, like don't be scared, I'll be here, you just go throw the stuff in the food bowl and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
So then she's like, alright, I'm gonna go, because then she like kind of froze, but then she went for it, and as she was coming back, the farmer's kid like catches her, and he's like, oh shoot, I gotta go.
Billy Fitzgibbons catches her.
Nice. But yeah, it's funny because the mom's like, oh, just let it out and let Dragon get it. And he's like, oh, Mom, but it's just a mouse. Can we just keep it for a little bit? We can put it in the bird cage. She's like, oh, okay, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So then they toss her in the bird cage. And so then that night, she's getting out. Which I love how they showed her figuring out how to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole part where she's trying to untie the door, I think, and cuts herself.
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't know why, but that part always
stressed you out.
Yeah, well
that stressed me out.
I think it just made my stomach hurt, seeing her getting sliced across the arm.
Yeah.
And just I don't want to say grossed me out.
Well,
but, it had that
was
same
gory
feeling.
for when I say gory, it just shows blood.
Yeah. Because I think it, cuts her and she's like, ah!
Yeah.
I think I just got flashbacks to, when the rats got injected and were, writhing in pain. She did this.
And yeah, she was like, oh!
Yeah. And then I was like, ugh!
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and then she figures out she can get out through, the water cup. And then...
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Well, while she's in the cage, Farmer Fitzgibbons gets a call from NIMH being like, hey, we're going to come exterminate that rosebush problem that you said you've been having with the rats.
Oh, yeah, they're going to dig up the rosebush or something.
Yeah,
they're going to do something.
Because they know that's where the rats go. That's where the rats live.
Yeah. So then she's like, oh, I got to get out of here.
I got to go warn the fellas.
Yeah.
And then she goes...
I think they're... And, those guys, while she's also in the cage listening to them, they're trying to get the house out.
Yeah.
Because that's when Nicodemus dies. Because they have, a bunch of...
she's there when Nicodemus... No, they're hoisting it up. Yeah.
It's when it falls down is when she gets there.
Yeah.
After he dies.
So, conveniently, it's raining, and they're, moving stuff around, I guess. They're moving the house.
Uh-huh.
And then...
They're using, a bunch of, pulleys and stuff like that to, lift it up.
And Kylie Jenner. Jenner's just like, hey, this is our time to shine.
Hey, get a load of this. Kills him.
Well, he went to his little buddy. He's like, hey, you're gonna help me kill him, right? He's like, what? He's like, we're gonna take over. This is our chance.
Moida? I didn't sign up for Moida. Which, that guy is so good, because, Jenner, because he's like, oh, yeah, once the house gets this high and, goes halfway up, start cutting, half the ropes. And then he's like, right as he's like, all right, now cut him. And then he cuts his ropes, and the guy's like, no, I can't do it, Jenna. I can't do it.
I can't do it, Jenna.
And then I think he doesn't like straight, like he doesn't like kill him immediately with his sword, but just like slices like his stomach.
Yeah.
So then he like goes down and he's like, oh, my
Oh, I'm
stomach.
dying. Ooh.
Yeah. Then he cuts his ropes. The house falls onto Nicodemus, and then it starts sinking into the mud.
Yeah.
And the kids are like drowning, and they're like, oh, I can't breathe.
What's all this black stuff?
It's so scary.
Yeah.
And then Auntie Shrew passes out, and they're like, I can't breathe. We're dying.
Yeah.
It was insane. But yeah, and then Justin's like, what are you doing? We gotta lift the house up. Come on, guys. And then Mrs. Brisby shows up, and she's like, oh, y'all gotta leave right now because they're gonna exterminate the bush. And then Jenner's like, I'm gonna kill him. And then the guy throws a knife at him, and he dies. Dramatic reenactment.
Well,
But
like,
yeah, and then Mrs. Brisby like watches like her whole house sink under the mud.
so wait,
and
let's
then
back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Jenner's whole idea of how he's gonna go and kill Justin.
He's
Well,
like,
or is he, like, he's gonna go kill Justin. He's standing on top of this really tall rock.
and he
And
has his sword up. I think he was gonna throw the sword.
yeah,
at
that's
him.
what I was about to say. I'm like, was he just gonna swing at him, or
Or
was he gonna throw his sword?
Or jump on him and slice him.
Yeah,
Slice and dice.
the really heavy hit from Legend of Zelda, where
Breath
he
of
jumps
the
off,
Wild.
where he jumps off an edge and then, and then tries to kill you.
Yeah.
Um,
Not only will it kill your enemies, it'll kill you too.
yeah. And then homeboy Slice Gut McGee throws his little knife.
Yeah, and like
Perfect.
stabs him straight in the back, and he falls.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, we forgot that Justin and Penner, not Penn and Teller, and
Justin
and
Brisby.
Justin and Jenner have like a sword fight because
Oh yeah, that
they're
looks pretty
disagreeing
good.
because they were disagreeing with each other. He's like, we need to move our city, and then Jenner's like, no, we gotta kill you. That's what we gotta do.
That's what we got to do.
If I kill you, I lead the place, and we can stay where we're at forever.
Oh
And
yeah.
then
then
Justin stabs him. Then we get to the bit where
he's like, I'm gonna throw my sword.
yeah,
And then the guy's like, I'm gonna throw this knife.
he's like, it's smaller and more durable, so it's gonna go straight through your back. And then he dies. He falls
Smaller
off the rock
bullets.
and dies. And then all of a sudden, freaking Jenner, like before like the sword fight, what builds up to it, Jenner just sees that amulet and
he's like, that's mine.
Yeah,
Turns into Lord of the Rings.
yeah, he literally turns into just an absolute maniac. He changes all of his motivations. Did that almost fall over?
I was trying to adjust it so then you didn't elbow it off, and
Yeah.
I accidentally threw it off.
Yeah, I think it's just absolutely wild that Jenner wasn't just like, I need to find this amulet. I know that there's this amulet around here somewhere, and then sees it, and then goes nuts. He just sees it, and then we're all just supposed to assume that he is
Knows
just
what
like
it is.
he's just a fanatic about this necklace, and then just tries to kill her, and that's where Justin comes in. And then now
Sword
we're all
fight.
sword fight.
Mm-hmm.
Jenner dies. Justin is like, we did it, fellas. And then she's like, "Ah, my kids."
My
And-
kids are dead.
Yeah, they start sinking. They try to pull
wait,
it up,
my
and it's not
house.
working. And I was like, I remember, like even though I haven't seen the movie in a long time, I do not remember if the house sunk and all the kids died.
Yeah.
Because I was like, holy crap.
They killed the kids.
Because it sunk. Then Mrs. Brisby went over to like try to get him. Then Justin ties himself to a rope, grabs Mrs. Brisby and pulls back. And she just starts, and I'm like, oh
Crying.
no. They just killed the kids. The kids are dead. This
Then
is
the-
why Disney didn't want to do this movie. And then all of a sudden, by the power of courageousness,
Power of necklace.
yeah, the power of courage necklace, she hears like Nicodemus's voice, and she's like, the one who possesses courage shall like make power, I guess.
The one who possesses courage will get great power, I guess.
Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility, and when you're responsible, you have great power. Is basically
And
what it says.
courageous. I guess.
And then the amulet glows, sets her on fire. She glows red, and then just like all of a sudden, the lights just shine out of her, and all the rats are kneeling for some reason, like looking at her as like she's a god. And then touches the rope. The thing floats out of the home, floats out of the ground, and is set in a nearby like spot.
Yeah.
And then
They probably moved it like a foot. What is that gonna do?
well, they moved it in like where a tree trunk was at, or it was like
Oh,
it was like,
right
it
next
was
to
a
a
wood.
tree.
You could see that it was like wooden. It was like
Okay.
it was like it's like a tree that like tipped over, and there's like a hole where a branch was, and it was like stuck there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Also, I found out what a man throw knife person is named.
What is his name?
His name is Sullivan.
Ah, Sullivan.
Sully.
Ah, Victor Sullivan from Uncharted, or James P. Sullivan from
James P. Sullivan.
yeah, from Monsters Incorporated.
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 But yeah, and then it just ends after, like it's like 2 days later.
Yeah, they're in like the super.
Oh my gosh!
Well,
before they go into like the house, and so it's after they are like they plan with the rats, like, oh yeah, we're gonna like get the house out.
Oh,
we
we're
need
going
to get a lot
way
of
back.
string.
Hold up. Oh
we need
yeah.
to get string, and it's like she's doing something where she's outside, and she's like, oh, Jeremy, go get a bunch of string. And he's like, all right, gotcha. And then he gets a bunch, and he comes back at like the very end after everything. So it was pointless.
Well, yeah.
And then he gets a girlfriend.
Yeah, which she is
Give me the
tied.
shiny.
Oh yeah, because he sees the necklace and he's just like, I
Ooh,
like
the
the shine.
sparkly.
Yeah,
That's
I like
what he
the
calls-
sparkle. Give me the sparkle, and I'm gonna impress my lady with it.
And then she's like, oh, I gave it to Justin, even though it's like, that's what your husband, like, that was his. Why are you giving it to Justin?
I didn't know that she gave it to Justin. I thought
She
she
did.
just had it.
Yeah. And then Timmy's like looking out the window, and they're like, "Oh, you got 2 more days. You gotta stay in there.
Yeah. It's like when
Can't come out."
It's like when I got home from my mission. It's like, stay in your room. You're quarantining for 2 more days.
Yeah. Yeah. COVID be like, stay in there.
Yeah. And yeah, that movie just
It just
ties
ended.
Yeah, it's just like, Penner died. Everybody's out of the hole really quick.
Penner died?
Jenner died.
The house is safe.
House is safe, and
I guess the
then-
rats are gone from the rose bush,
Yeah,
and now she doesn't have the amulet anymore, so now she's normal mom,
And
and
then-
Timmy's okay.
yeah, and then come to find out, Jeremy gets the girl.
Yeah.
Which
he
she's
finds his
credited
wife.
as Mrs. Right because he at the beginning of the movie he's like,
Oh,
I haven't found my
yeah.
Mrs. Right yet, but when I do, I have my charm, my red string that I tied around with.
Mm-hmm. I forgot he had like a little necklace, like a
Well,
little
yeah, because he
string
got
necklace.
stuck in it, and then he
Yeah.
just decided to keep that one thing of string.
It makes me unique.
Yeah.
I love how she has like the 80s like high ponytail
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love it.
Yeah. Well, that's the only gripe of this movie that I have.
It's just the end.
It ends,
Mm-hmm.
and it just seemed like the movie was just unfinished.
Yeah.
Like,
This could probably be a movie where we can like rewrite the end.
ooh, I might read the book and then just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
First time ever book review.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What if like you read the book and rewrite it how the book ends, and then I can just rewrite it to like what I feel is right and not know what the book does.
Okay.
And see how close we get to one another.
That might
or
be
how
a
different
while
it could
because,
be.
like, I don't know if I have
The time.
to read a book right now, or like the time,
You
or
can get an audiobook.
sponsored by Audible. I'm just kidding.
Whoa!
I'm kidding. Audible sponsor us.
There's a lot of boys that can sponsor us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie. I wish it was just. I feel like there was a lot of stuff missing in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it could have been an hour and a half long, adding just a little bit more details to it. It could even have been like an hour 45,
Yeah.
just adding 10 to 20 minutes more of like scenes of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, seeing like
I know with
if
this.
the whole idea was like, we should treat animals better, and that's like the whole thing, it should have shown more of the testing.
Yeah.
happening.
Or like the effects of it.
Yeah, or
That makes me. It makes me think of another movie.
like you
That-
could take out the entire thing. You can take out the entire subplot of
Timmy's sick.
no, you could take out the
No.
entire subplot of the rats being experimented on, and that's it. And it'd just be like, oh, the rats, they've gotten comfortable with stealing from the farmers and living off their electricity,
Mm-hmm.
and now they don't want to leave, but the farmers are trying to kill them, and so they need to leave, but they're too prideful to leave, and so Mrs. Brisby's whole thing is like, oh, we need to get them out of here. That could be a storyline, but then it isn't.
Yeah.
So
I guess it would. Now I kind of want to read the book.
yeah. Then you read the book.
I read
We'll
the
read
book,
the
you
book.
rewrite your own thing.
Okay.
Or what if we both rewrite our own thing and then
We'll
Read
do
the
something
book.
with it.
Yeah.
We'll
do something?
yeah.
Wow. But yeah,
I don't know.
What was-
I don't really have anything else to say about the movie.
yeah. Most traumatizing thing,
Ooh.
probably,
the rats like gripping the experimentation scene.
yeah, experimenting scene was pretty bad. I think just all the classic parts of Big Owl, scary. Brutus, scary.
Yeah, I think
It was just mostly intense. Like, the whole movie was intense.
as a kid, the scariest part was the experimentation scene.
I feel because we didn't know 100%.
And Dragon. I think
Yeah,
those
oh
are.
yeah,
I think
Dragon.
those two were the scariest scenes. But right now, like looking at it, the scariest or like the most intense scene is probably a more accurate term right now. Is the experimentation scene or or Brutus. I
Yeah.
don't know why. That was just unnecessarily like scary and intense.
Yeah. I like it because, like, the animation is so good. The animation as a whole throughout the whole movie is so good.
Mm,
There wasn't a part where I was like, oh, that wasn't really good.
yeah.
Like, they did a super nice blend of, like, making everything, like, look realistic and cartoony, which is what John Bluth is really known for, is just having that nice balance.
Mm.
But then, like, just the nice fantasy feel of, like, everything, too. Especially, like, where the rats are. Like, that just looks really good.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie, go see it.
It's free on YouTube. Please go watch it.
Yeah. If you're fine, like, if you're fine with having, like, 10-second ads every 10 minutes, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember it was like the first half hour of the movie, you got, like, ads, and then I don't remember seeing any ads after that. Probably because I fell asleep and then woke back up. But I only fell asleep for, like, maybe
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just watch the movie. The movie's good.
Mm-hmm.
If you like that movie, watch other stuff by Don Bluth. Booth?
No, Bluth.
Oh, Bluth.
Yeah.
Bluth. Don Bluth.
I'm sure we'll watch other movies of his.
Yeah.
Like All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah.
And other stuff.
So, who
But
knows?
Yeah. If you have a favorite Don Bluth movie or any other movie that you want us to talk about, suggest it to us.
Suggest it on like through comments on YouTube
or just
Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can leave comments on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever you're listening to this on.
Whatever we have in the description that you have that you can message us on or comment to us on.
Yeah, just shoot
let
us
us
a comment.
know.
And make sure to give us a like.
Please.
We need them.
Tell your friends about us.
Yeah.
Especially your mom.
Yeah. Yeah, tell your mom about us.
Do it, you won't.
Don't tell your dad.
Not the dad, please. He scares me.
He's a bit big. He's giving me the eye.
Oh no.
I think he's on to me. But
yeah, if you have movies that scared you as a kid, then you can tell us about it.
Yeah, tell us about your trauma.
Oh yeah, baby.
And on our next episode, just like NIMH, it's a secret.
It's a secret!
Because we don't know what we're going to do next episode. So,
we'll have it figured out.
Yeah, we'll have it figured out by then. Well, that's the averagest of shows for you Joe's podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram, like us on here, whatever you're listening to. And that's all, folks.
Love you, bye.